Hello and welcome to the show. I am Joe Topat. There sure are a lot of adaptations of Dr. Seuss's work. There are the TV specials, the live-action movies, animated movies, a musical, and TV shows. The earliest adaptation of Dr. Seuss's work was Horton Hatches the Egg in 1942. It was made into a Merry Melodies cartoon directed by Bob Clampett. The cartoon can be found in various Dr. Seuss DVDs, as well as Volume 6 of the Looney Tunes collection. There are two shorts that were made shortly after Horton Hatches the Egg. They are adaptations of Dr. Seuss's earliest children's books. They are, of course, The 500 Hats of Bartholomew Cubbins and To Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street. Unlike Horton Hatches the Egg, these shorts were made in stop motion and were part of a series called Madcap Models. They were directed by George Pal, who some of you may know as the director of The Time Machine in 1960. The stop motion style they were done in is known as Puppetoons, a term that Pal coined and seems to be exclusive to his work. These shorts are pretty obscure. Most books about Dr. Seuss don't mention them. The only one that I know of that does is The Seuss, The Whole Seuss, and Nothing But the Seuss. None of the Dr. Seuss DVDs include them. I was only able to find them on the Blu-ray edition of the Puppetoons movie. I've done as much research as I could, and I sadly couldn't find a lot of information on how these shorts came to be. This book explains how Horton Hatches the Egg became a Merry Melodies cartoon. Bob Clampett read the book, loved it, and asked producer Leon Schlesinger to obtain the film rights. But it doesn't explain how Bartholomew Cubbins on Mulberry Street came in the hands of George Pal. Was he a fan of these books? Were they favorites of his kids? Did he personally know Dr. Seuss? Your guess is as good as mine. Now all that information is out of the way, let's talk about the shorts. The 500 Hats of Bartholomew Cubbins came out in 1943 and features Robert C. Bruce as narrator. His name may not be familiar to you, but he served as narrator for many Looney Tunes cartoons. The king is voiced by Billy Bletcher, who many of you may know was the original voice of Pete. The short follows the book fairly closely. For those who've never read it, the story is about a king who rides into town one day and finds a boy named Bartholomew Cubbins who didn't take his hat off to him. Correction. Bartholomew did take his hat off, only there was another one in its place. He keeps trying to take off his hats, but there's always a different one in its place. This is the biggest difference from the book, where all the hats look alike, until he gets towards the end. The king takes it as an insult that Bartholomew Cubbins doesn't take his hat off, even though it's not his fault. So he takes him to the castle, where all attempts to remove it fail. They even tried to chop his head off. They can't do it because it's against the rules to chop anyone's head off with their hats on. It is only after the king offers to buy the last hat that Bartholomew is able to finally remove it. And it's the best hat of all. And To Think I Saw That on Mulberry Street came out in 1944. It features a live-action boy as Marco, though you never get to see his face. Like Bartholomew Cubbins, Mulberry Street follows the book fairly closely. It shows how Marco sees a horse and wagon on Mulberry Street and uses his imagination to make it more exciting, only to tell his father in the end that all he saw was a horse and wagon on Mulberry Street. If some of these scenes look familiar, that's because parts of the short were used in the TV movie In Search of Dr. Seuss. These Puppetoons shorts are fairly decent adaptations of Dr. Seuss's work. They do a great job at capturing the humor and imagination of Dr. Seuss. If I have any complaint, it's that they fail to capture his drawing style. Dr. Seuss's illustrations are fun to look at and are a huge part of his appeal. Any adaptation needs to copy that style in order to work. Bob Clampett at least incorporated it when he adapted Horton Hatches the Egg. George Powell didn't. The figures look like old-fashioned toys come to life. To be fair, that was his style, and it works when he's making his own shorts, but it doesn't work for a Dr. Seuss adaptation. Would I recommend seeing these shorts? Well, they are worth seeing if you're a fan of Dr. Seuss or George Powell. As for the Blu-ray, I would only recommend getting it if you're a Dr. Seuss completist or a huge George Powell fan. Otherwise, you're better off reading the books. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya later.